Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Beneath My Skin by Larissa Benfey. And Larissa is somebody that I met because we both write for GuyAtTheMovies.com, shameless plugs, and recently got to interview her for Lost in the Wasteland, also shameless plugs, so go check out her interview. But she told me that she was a poet and talked about her book, and I wanted to check it out. And I don't read a ton of poetry. It's funny. Probably the most poetry that I've ever read was like epic poems, because like I took 5 years of Latin, so like I've read the Aeneid and stuff like that. But this book, it's not too big, as you can see, and it's about 30 something pages of poems, and I love the rhythm of Larissa's writing. I love the good rhyming schemes, and also the messaging in each of these poems, for the most part, are very, very relatable and moving. And there's a couple of them that really moved me. And a lot of these, like even right off the bat, the opening poem, where it's just like introducing you to this book where Larissa's opening herself up to all of us to see her feelings through these poems. And I think that's one of the greatest strengths, is like you can feel the deep personal connection that these words convey of a human being. And when you're doing poetry and putting yourself out there like that, that's impactful. I like the themes of one's worth, dealing with some potentially toxic relationships in the past, moving on to a relationship that makes you feel fulfilled. We've all been there. I certainly have. That really hit poignantly. There's also a beauty of love to grandparents, and especially as somebody who lived with my grandparents, my maternal grandparents, from like when I was 2 until I was almost 21. That hit hard. And those kinds of familial connections, whether they're blood or found family, can really drudge up some feelings. Now, there's a couple of the poems in here that don't quite hit, and it's a hard order to put out there to be like consistently great poems throughout, but some of them just didn't have the same kind of impact, and like they were still good, and from like a poetic standpoint and from the writing standpoint, like they were nice to read. Some of the shorter ones didn't have the same level of substance. Some of the shorter ones still, like with like 4 to 8 lines, still nailed an impactful feeling. And that's what I love most about this book, is there's a lot of feeling and a lot of relatable themes that you can connect to and really feel, and on a deep level, and because you can find that in yourself. And really, when you're writing poetry like this, that's the goal, right? To connect with your audience, and I think she really was successful in that. I really enjoyed this. I found it on Amazon for pretty cheap too, so it's not a big order either. So it's a wonderful little book of poems, Beneath My Skin, and I definitely think it's worth a read. And hopefully you go show Larissa some love and check out her work. But those are my thoughts on Beneath My Skin. Let me know what you think. Let's talk some books. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.